Here's something that doesn't add up. Before a single ball was kicked, the smart money said Spain wins this World Cup. Spain, reigning European champions, priced shortest on the board, the most complete squad anyone could name on paper. Then they walked out for their first game and drew 0-0 with Cape Verde. Cape Verde, an island nation of 500,000 people. And just like that, the number next to Spain's name got longer, the number next to France's name got shorter, and a whole industry quietly rewrote who was destined to lift the trophy. Over one draw, against an island, so here's the riddle. If a single group game can demote the best team in the world, then the thing we call the favorite can't actually be a prediction. It's something else. And once you see what it really is, you stop watching the rest of this tournament the way everyone else does. Let me show you the board, because the board is the whole trick. Right now, with the group stage wrapping up, France sits on top. They won their group, scored 10, and conceded 2, and the market has crowned them the lone favorite. Spain has clawed back to second after thrashing Saudi Arabia 4-0. Argentina, the actual defending champions, just edged past England into third. That's today. By the time you watch this, it'll be wrong, and that's not me hedging, that's the entire point. Because what is the favorite, really? Even now, at the top of the board, France are given only about a 1 in 5 chance of actually winning the thing. 1 in 5. That's the best team on the list, and the market itself is telling you it's closer to a coin toss that lands on its edge than a sure thing. And here's the number that should end the conversation. Across the last 6 World Cups, the pre-tournament favorite has gone on to win exactly once. Once. So when someone shows you the list and says, here's who wins, history is quietly laughing in the background. So what are odds actually measuring? People treat them like a forecast from some football oracle? They're not. They're a snapshot of where betting money is sitting at this exact second, and money is the twitchiest thing in the building. A team wins 4-1 on a Friday night and the cash piles in. A team draws on a Tuesday and the cash sprints for the door. The odds don't measure who's good. They measure who looked good most recently. That's a mood, not a verdict. And the mood punishes its own favorites. Watch what already happened in this tournament. Ecuador knocked over Germany in the group stage, the kind of result that wasn't supposed to be on the menu. The team at the very top of the board is often the most fragile one on it. Not because they're bad, but because the board overreacts. One thumping group stage win and a team gets crowned, the price gets short, the weight of everyone's expectation lands on their shoulders, and then the knockouts arrive, where one bad 90 minutes ends everything. There's even a name for it among people who do this for a living: the favorites trap. So if the board is just a mood, what should you watch instead? Not who's pretty in June. Who's built to survive a knockout gauntlet? And this year that gauntlet is longer than it has ever been. Quick scale because the number matters. The old World Cup let half the teams out of the group stage. This expanded 48-team version lets 32 of 48 through A, about 2 in 3. The group stage barely filters anyone now. Almost everyone advances. So, the real test isn't getting out of your group, it's the 7-game survival run after it, where one off day on a hot July afternoon and you're booking flights home. A longer gauntlet rewards a very specific kind of team, and almost none of those traits show up in a flashy group stage scoreline. So here's the checklist. 4 things. First, squad depth, the boring superpower. Not your starting 11, your 14th man. In a tournament this congested, with extra time legs and suspensions piling up, the team that can swap a player out without the quality falling off a cliff is the team still standing in Week 4. Second, a settled identity. A side that knows exactly who it is, with a manager who isn't still auditioning his own tactics in the round of 16. Third, knockout temperament, which is just a polite phrase for doesn't panic when it's 0-0 in the 88th minute and a whole nation is holding its breath. And fourth, one forward who can win a single match entirely on his own when the tactics cancel out and somebody just has to do something impossible. Notice what's missing from that list. Scored a pile of goals against weak group opponents. That's the stat the board falls in love with. It's also the stat that means the least once the real games start. Now run the contenders through it instead of through the price. France looked the part. Depth for days, a clear identity under a manager who's been to the last 2 finals, and a forward line that can settle a game from nothing. England have arguably the deepest attacking group in the field, but they've walked into tournaments as favorites before and tripped over their own expectations. The talent was never the question. The temperament was. Then there's Argentina, and Argentina are the cleanest example of why the checklist beats the board. They won the last World Cup not by being the flashiest roster, but by being built around a defensive structure, a serious midfield, a goalkeeper who doesn't flinch, and a knockout temperament that had already been to the summit. They tick the quiet boxes. The board doesn't always reward quiet. They're only third right now despite being the team that literally last did this. And don't ignore the hosts because the floor under them is real. Mexico won their group without conceding a single goal. The USA won theirs, too. And here's the honest footnote. They actually lost their last group game 3-2 to Turkey, but they'd already topped the group and rested 9 starters, so the loss was scenery, not substance. Host odds surged on the back of all that. Now, is home advantage just romance? History says no. 6 host nations have actually won the thing on their own soil. Uruguay in 1930, Italy in 34, England in 66, West Germany in 74, Argentina in 78, France in 98. That's not a fluke rate. Friendly crowd, no jet lag, familiar pitches, a genuine edge. The trap is mistaking a hot start against weak group opponents for that edge. Watch whether the hosts still look like contenders when they meet a real one in the knockouts. That game tells you everything the group stage couldn't. So who ticks the most boxes? Here's where I'll be honest with you, because the whole point of this is honesty over confidence. This is my opinion, not a fact, and I'm reasoning it straight off that checklist, not off the price. If you make me pick a team built to survive 7 knockout games, depth, identity, temperament, and a match winner, I lean toward the side that has already proven it can win ugly when it has to, over the side that just looked prettiest in June. Argentina's profile fits the gauntlet a little too well to dismiss, and France have the depth and the match winner to back up the hype rather than just generate it. But that's a lean with the reasoning shown, not a prophecy. Anyone who tells you they know is selling you something. Which brings me to the real question, the one I'd love you to sit with. When you picture your team going all the way, be honest, is that the checklist talking or is it your heart? There's no wrong answer, but there's a very different answer depending on which one's driving. Tell me in the comments, who's your pick and which is it, head or heart? I read them. And if this handed you a sharper way to watch the rest of the tournament, the subscribe button costs you nothing and keeps these coming. Here's the thing to hold on to. The favorite will change 5 more times before the final whistle in July. It'll lurch after every shock draw and every late winner, and the board will sell you a brand new story each week. But the traits that actually win a World Cup, the depth, the calm, the one player who breaks a game open, those don't move. They were true before the first kickoff, and they'll be true when somebody finally lifts the trophy. So the next time the odds shift overnight and everyone swears the favorite has changed, you'll know exactly what changed. The money moved, the football didn't.